Okay, Dave Simon here with three awesome teens here to speak on behalf of American teenagers. Let's start with you, young lady. Why don't you say your name and how old you are?
I'm Tess and I'm 13.
Tess, she's 13, going into 8th grade?
Mm-hmm.
What's your name, young man?
I'm Alex and I am 16.
16.
Dude, think about it.
You're like a professional
16.
teen.
Professional teen.
Oh yeah. No, I'm in MIT, man in training.
Man in training, this is very, very good. And what's your name, young man?
I am Arden. I am 15.
Okay, guys, so, we're here obviously at a rock school. I want to talk about rock music. Before we get into kind of the nuts and bolts of music, I'd like you guys, you can kind of have a little discussion as to who are the three, not for you guys, but if you look at your schools, your high schools, in middle school in your case, who are the three top artists right now?
Oh jeez. Justin Bieber.
No.
Justin Bieber.
No.
And
Doesn't have to be rock, just kind of like, talking.
Shawn Mendes and Ed Sheeran.
And what was the
I
last
grew up
one?
Shawn Mendes, like all of
Ed
it.
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. I can see Ed Sheeran.
Yeah,
I don't maybe like one of the mumble rappers.
Say it
any
again.
of that.
Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, and
Those rappers.
what was
I don't
Shawn
know, like,
Mendes?
any
Shawn
of
Mendes.
them.
Okay, so all like kind of singer-songwriter types. Arden, do you agree with that?
I can definitely see Ed Sheeran. I know he has like almost a cult following in high
It's
school.
creepy.
I know. Oh shoot, what's his?
Justin Bieber.
Well, yeah, his popularity has kind of waxed and waned throughout the years. But I mean, I can definitely see Ed Sheeran like at the height of his popularity now. I mean, I know, rap music has really taken off a lot.
So rap music, you're saying, is bigger now as opposed to it was 5 years ago, even?
No, not necessarily, but I mean, it's definitely at its peak right now. I mean, I don't even know if it can get higher than here than as it is, because I mean, I at least everybody at my school usually listens to rap music in some
You
form.
can't go a day in
I
my
don't
school
listen to
without hearing rap at least once.
Yeah, that's true.
Same here.
And do you, do you, and maybe you can answer this individually, do you guys identify as rock and rollers or as more kind of pop music fans?
Definitely
Pop
not
music.
pop music, and I wouldn't really consider myself really a hard rocker. Well, I do enjoy enjoy a lot of alternative funk rock, but
Alternative punk rock? Or you say funk?
Except fun.
and alternative and funk rock. I mean punk rock. I do enjoy.
When you say funk rock, you mean like Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Breakwater, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I do love Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't know. I don't see myself listening to a lot of maybe the older stuff, the one with deemed classics. I mean, I obviously love Queen.
Very appropriate. If you were to go to the kids in your school, you pull the whole school together and then they vote. Who are your three favorite rock bands? Who do you think they would say?
Rock bands.
They don't know what rock
Yeah, so.
Okay, so
They,
that's
they
what
probably
they say.
like pretend, be like, oh, who are those Beatles guys? Those
Yeah, the Queen people. Yeah.
yeah,
those guys.
it's like the kind of people who kind of pretend, they listen to Nirvana or so, they wear the Nirvana shirts and stuff, but
It has
they don't
everybody's
listen to
face on
Nirvana.
it.
Yeah.
So you're saying something really interesting. You're saying that today's teens don't really listen to rock music. Do they view rock music as music for old people?
Pretty much, yes.
Well, I mean, yeah,
In
but
my
then,
school,
then you have
pretty
you have in my school, at least how it is, you have the group who listen to the really mainstream pop, hip hop, that type thing. Then you have the smaller, you have the smaller enclaves of the metalheads, the kids who listen to maybe psychedelic or your hippie rock, basically.
So it's alive there with those kids.
Yeah, but I mean, they're obviously a very small minority compared to the grand, you have this very large, daunting group of, Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes, 21 Savage, Lil Uzi. That you have this group over here.
Uh-huh.
Then you have the smaller enclaves just kind of surrounding that. You'll have
The emo kids,
Yeah, exactly. You'll have
But they're listening to bands with 4 guys, electric guitar, and drums, right?
Yeah, but there's really small enclaves.
Does that model, in the eyes of a teenager today, is the thought of playing in a rock band cool, or is it looked at as sort of like, that's like an old thing? Like it'd be cool.
No, I mean it's like a neat thing. Like
it's looked at as like basically, I'd like to, but I don't have the time. I think.
Do you feel that you individually, your social status is different now that you play in rock bands? Like if you were to go to your school and say, yeah, I'm in a rock band, are kids going to look at that as like a cool and positive thing?
Well, I mean, yeah.
And a desirable thing.
Yeah.
I look at it as desirable, but probably not raise the social status or anything.
Yeah.
What musically can a teen do to increase their social status?
I
Like get into DJ music?
Know all the cool stuff, so like when
be a
they're playing
SoundCloud
it.
rapper.
Oh my god.
No, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
That's like there are actually people who think they're like in my school who claim to be like SoundCloud rappers.
You gotta be a good one though.
So you're saying that in order to gain status
in the music world,
the music world with teens, you got to be on social media.
Yeah,
That's where it's at. It's not being in a rock band.
Well, I mean, promoting your rock. I know one group of kids actually not, and that actually did make me kind of think. There is this one group like of kids who I know are in a rock band, and they spam it like all over social media. I personally find it a little pretentious, but I mean, like it's just the way they kind of spam it a lot. But like they definitely catch people's attention, and people kind of they kind of respect them for that, because I mean, it rock music definitely isn't the norm. Like you don't see as many people.
People my age don't understand that, because we grew up in a time. I grew up in the '80s, but as a kid in the '70s, rock dominated everything.
Yeah.
We still think that teens, like when we were growing up, everyone went through like a Beatles phase, and then Led Zeppelin, and then like people a little bit younger than me, they went through a Nirvana phase. And it sounds like that's not really, in terms of what's cool as a teenager, that's not really a cool thing anymore. Like if you go to school wearing a Queen shirt, would people look at that and be like, oh wow, you're in the Queen, I'm in the Queen? Or would they go, oh, that's kind of an old throwback, nostalgic
Yeah, it's definitely like, oh, my mom was, it's like that cool band.
So rock and roll's for old people.
They'd be like, nice shirt, but pretty old.
If you were to like do a vote at your high school and say, okay, raise your hand if you think rock music and rock bands are cool, would all the hands go up, or would just a few?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm not involved.
Well, they'd say depending on the kind of rock or the time period.
Hold on, I want to. Wait, what's going on? I'm gonna do a new one. So you're saying that, the question was, if you ask about rock music, rock bands, half the kids' hands would go up.
Almost all the kids' hands go up when you say, "Is rap your favorite?" It's like, why?
Okay, so
they just sing about drugs, violence, and shooting.
Let me ask you this: do you feel
the Sex Pistols? I mean, it's like the same.
But
it's just in a different it's not what I listen to, but I mean I get that that's like what people are attracted to. Like I'm not attracted to that music personally, but I mean you can't say it's all about drugs and all that, but and say that it's relative to this generation. But I mean like you look back,
rap
look at a lot about look at like punk rock. And look at like the Dead Kennedys, and they have their.
How do you know the Dead Kennedys? How does a guy your age even know who they are?
I don't know who they
through
are.
Your parents, or just through online research?
Through word of mouth, online research.
Okay,
I mean,
so that means that they're an underground punk band from the '80s that never really broke. So it sounds like kids are still open and exploring.
Yeah, no, they're still open to it. It's just the large majority isn't open to that. Like I said, it's just relative small enclaves, into different stuff. I wouldn't say, everybody thinks as like sort of a hive mind in my high school. Music tastes are very varied, but like I said, it's just a majority that who do kind of fit into almost that hive mind when it comes to like rap and pop music. They do have like the Ed Sheeran, 21 Savage. That's their stuff.
Let me ask you guys this: do you feel that rock and roll is dead amongst?
Oh God, no.
No.
Okay, so you're telling me on one hand you're saying it's not that popular anymore. It's not. It's really about rap music and
Well, it's not
in
popular,
pop
but it's
music.
not dead.
Right, look how like jazz, like you know, like you wouldn't expect like maybe at your during your era when the Beatles, were
Hey,
relevant, like,
not that old, buddy.
Well, okay,
Come on.
okay.
Let's go back
let's
to
say Boston. That
No, like my era, like when I was like your age, it was like U2 was
yeah.
early 80s.
Yeah.
It was all British new wave, but it was still guys with electric guitars, maybe funny haircuts, but it was the rock band. That it was the only way.
yeah.
If you were, so what's cooler? Is it cooler to be in a rock band, or is it cooler to be on social media doing something musical?
Well, I wouldn't like to go on social media because I don't want to have to update my status every 2 minutes.
Like being on GarageBand, making some like loops and doing it on your own. Or if you and your buddies said, okay, we're gonna do something musical together. Are you gonna put a rock band together? Maybe you would. Are kids more likely to put a rock band together, or say, oh, let's go on GarageBand and create something and put it on musically?
Well, people are more likely to do social media into GarageBand.
I mean,
Or SoundCloud.
Not many people are going to form a whole rock band because of social media, basically, because you can always stay connected.
I don't even know if like those kids know how to play instruments.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: how long each person? How long have you been playing an instrument?
Well, I played guitar for 3 years now.
And who initiated it? You or your parents? In terms of we're going to get you lessons.
Me.
What about you? How long have you been playing, and who initiated
I've been playing for 9 months, and I initiated it.
it? You went to your mom and dad and
Yeah.
said, "I want to take."
I had to bug them about it.
Okay, and what about you, Arden?
like 7 years, maybe like literally since I was in 2nd grade when my aunt got me my first electric guitar. That's when I picked up lessons, and it was initiated by my parents. I mean, I had a little input into it, but I mean.
If you were, you're kind of, Alex, you're falling into this category a little bit more. If you were to start music today, get a guitar, would you be inclined to go, Mom, sign me up for lessons, or would you just go to the internet and start
I'd
learning?
go, Mom, sign me up for lessons, but I would use YouTube to help me practice certain techniques.
What about
Not
you?
necessarily the music.
What about you?
I'm the same way. I have private lessons. I go here for summer camp and band, but I also use YouTube now and then. Just like when I'm like, oh, I heard this song on the radio. It sounds cool. I'm gonna pick this up.
What about you?
Well, I usually like having like a lesson from a person. So like if you mess up, like they can help you with it.
Yep.
And like, but I'll go on the internet sometimes, like look up tabs or something.
Yes.
But I think it's better if a person will teach you and help you through it.
Is that better? Would you be okay with some sort of subscription-based lesson program, or maybe the person can even interact with you over the internet? Or would you still prefer going somewhere and being in a room?
I prefer going somewhere.
Yeah, going
somewhere.
somewhere.
They
I
do-
see, I
they
see
do
those
that.
subscription places all the time. Like,
Yeah, on YouTube.
yeah, but I mean, that's just, I don't know, just doing it, in person. It's
Do you know any kids in your school that don't take lessons, that are learning music purely online?
Oh yeah, but he's
Like
not
some
very good.
choir kids. Some
yeah,
choir
no, I
kids.
know someone like that too.
Okay, so you guys don't feel, it's interesting, you said a few things here that I didn't expect. I assumed everyone your age would just go online and that would be their main source of learning music. You're saying people your age do value that one-on-one, having that mentor.
Yeah.
And you also are saying that you feel like rock music, do you feel that rock music is kind of in a slump right now in terms of it being the prominent artistic expression of young people?
Here's how I see it. I mean, it's like, you take like a music genre that like really hasn't been like at its peak in a while, like maybe jazz, but I mean, it's not like dead completely. I mean, you have like these really dedicated groups into it. You have like, it's like you do have these slumps, and you have like maybe like somebody like Kenny G who like comes out, he comes like a little mainstream. I think maybe it hasn't like become that low, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna ever be forgotten. I mean, look how long like Baroque music has been like going strong for. People still compose in that style. People still listen and play to the classics.
So is rock and roll sort of going where classical and where jazz
I
are
think,
in terms of it being a
yeah.
little more kind of subculture, a little more
Yeah.
for the fine listener?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going away. It's no way at its peak.
Will rock
already
and roll
reached
ever
its
be
peak.
the expression of the youth? Will it ever, the ultimate expression of the youth in the 70s and the 60s and in the 80s and the 90s was rock music? Do you feel that rock music has
Not
lost
in
that
the same
hold?
way. I mean,
No,
there's
not really.
pop, like One Republic. You could say like pop rock is still like relevant, but I don't think like that same authentic like
Just like
70s,
authentic
80s
rock is
Metallica,
not
Black
really
Sabbath.
gonna
That's
ever
I
be.
don't think that's.
You don't think it will come back?
Well, maybe it will. Like
Maybe I
you
mean
never know.
I can't predict the
There's
future,
a
but
slim chance, but most likely
And are
not.
people like you, guys that are in the rock bands and playing guitar and drums and keyboards, do you look at that as a loss?
I mean, kind of.
yes,
Uh,
and
Sometimes I
Okay.
would like talk to my friend and be like, "Hey, have you heard this?" And they're like, "No, that's old people's music," and I'll get sad.
Who would they say is old people's music?
Well, I don't.
Is Nirvana old people's music?
They would say they
Yeah.
don't know.
Like I'll talk. I think I talked about like Led Zeppelin or something, and they're like, "That's old people's music."
But would they hear it and go, "That's pretty awesome. It's for old people's music"?
I don't know.
that's how I'd be. Nirvana is pretty awesome for old people music.
So are you saying you feel like Led Zeppelin and Nirvana, despite that they're older, that there's still something that resonates with young people when
Yeah.
they hear it?
A little bit.
And does anything in music right now create that level of energy and excitement that Nirvana and Led Zeppelin generates?
I've seen people get really excited over rap music. So
Or Ed Sheeran, dude. There's a cult of
Yeah,
Ed
it's-
Sheeran cult.
it's scary.
Then there's the people who just sing rap 24/7 in class at school.
Yeah,
It's
there's
so
there's
annoying.
there's the SoundCloud rappers at school. I think I'm an up and coming rapper type people at school. They're the.
And you don't see there being a backlash against rap anytime soon?
I mean,
That
there
people are going
are.
to shift.
I mean, I think there is like
Oh, there's a little bit.
there is a backlash. I mean, it's mainstream, but I mean, it's kind of like, people like my mom are like, oh, like this modern rap. It's not like like Run DMC, like where it was like relatively clean. She's she complains it's like all cursing, which I mean, that's not relative to just rap. That's really
But rap
every
music's
genre.
not on top 40 radio, right? If you turn on top 40, you're not going to hear rap music.
No, that's because I don't think they can play that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So
That's,
kids are listening to it through the internet. It's all happening online.
Or
Yeah.
there's
Spotify
specific
has stuff,
radio stations that play it, but they mute afterwards.
Right. But you turn on top 40, you're going to hear Ed Sheeran. You're going to hear Imagine Dragons,
Yeah.
which you could maybe make the point. Oh, Imagine Dragons is a rock band.
It's more like pop rock. I
You know,
think.
but it's guys with guitars,
Yeah.
and it's that whole group thing. Well, you guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm glad to hear rock and roll is alive and well in today's youth. Wave goodbye to everybody.